So I hope you have enjoyed the morning and lunch session so far. But it is my extreme privilege and honor to be moderating this session that is entitled Cultivating World-Class Talent, the Changing Face of Leadership. I have on the stage joining me four incredible leaders who have both worked in Japan as well as outside of Japan in some cases. We deliberately did not use the word women in the title. I think this is deliberate. I don't know how many conferences you've all been to, but I've been to a few, and whenever it's like women this, women that, it just, I don't know, narrows the scope, and we wanted to keep it as broad and inclusive as possible. So I want to quickly introduce the distinguished group, starting with the person on my direct left, Eriko Sakurai-san, who's the former president of Dow Japan and Korea. She also serves as an outside director for Sumitomo Mitsui Financial Group and Kao. Next to Eriko-san is Miyoko-san, Miyoko Demay. She is the former president of Tiffany and Company Japan. She is also an outside director, member of the board of Nintendo. Everybody know the company Nintendo? And an advisor for Japan Airport Terminal. Next to her is Teiko Kudo-san. She is the director and deputy president of the Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation. You may not know this, but she is the most senior ranked individual in Japan's banking sector. And we're very proud of Teiko-san. And last but certainly not least is Junko Watanabe-san. Junko is Deloitte Global Board Member and Deloitte Asia Pacific Deputy Chair. And this is just a small fraction of their bios. You can learn more in the program. So we're going to kick things off. We've got a series of questions that I'm going to ask these wonderful ladies. And I'm going to first start with a question I'm going to direct to each of them. The first question is, what does world-class talent look like to you, and how do you cultivate it within your organizations? I'm going to first start with Eriko-san, if I may.
Okay. Thank you for the great introductions. Probably as you are, I'm so excited to exchange opinions today. So, world-class leader, that's the big word. But of course, with many of you are the same, and we on the stage too, that the world-class leader can be happening on the day one at your workplace. So many of us just start as young and the first year at work, and we have all kinds of learning experiences. And I joined of course, I was born and raised in Japan, but with so many reasons, which took me an hour to talk about, so I will skip it. But I joined the company at Dow Corning before Dow acquires us in late 2017. The reasons I joined the company was they are really truly thinking of the innovations and the people development. At that time, the company was still like $1 billion US dollars, and they're trying to go like 5 billions or so in the data on. So we had so many ground strategy work, and oftenly those are like 7, 8 people, and we try to have the appropriate people from the world. So from US, from Europe, and I'm usually the only one from Japan, and that kind of agile strategy work truly developed me, because as you may have imagined, I'm just one Japanese woman, usually shy in expressing opinions. But with those I said, which nobody believes now, but those 7, 8 people, you have to express your opinions and you have to listen to others. And I truly enjoy the collaborative work, which has a diversity in our teams, because from different functions, different at the organizational hierarchy. And I think I became more comfortable becoming outside of my own pond and getting out of myself, outside of my comfort zone. So when I first get the management positions, of course I hesitated first, but I really truly refer back to those work. And if I do my best and being outside of comfort zone, you get used to it, being outside of the comfort zone. And gradually I'll becoming those senior leaders, but that's just experiences of a series of experiences. So that to the younger generations, I truly recommend that you have those diversified and challenging experiences, if possible, from the early stages. Mm-hmm. So I think that no wonderful leaders was born to be. I think everybody made efforts and have all the great development program. I think world-class leaders can be there with you. So that's my belief.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miyoko-san?
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to be on this member. I'm so happy, and I can't wait to hear everybody else's stories today. But in terms of leadership quality as a global leader, I worked at Tiffany for 30 years, and out of which 28 years I was in New York headquarters. And at that point, I worked as a head of global sales operations and worked with all my Tiffany colleagues around the world. And what I really noticed is true global leaders have to think independently, but act collectively. So somebody who can really have your own opinions and think independently, but act globally and work with all the others is really important. And also somebody who can create a supportive environment where people can really feel comfortable to fail and also take responsibilities, because you need to really enable your teams members to work hard, but really have their own opinions and also fail, learn, and also take responsibility and grow. So that's that. But the last important part is really consistency. Just like luxury brand, I think each of us are a brand, right? To build the brand takes a long time. So building the trust takes a long time, but losing it is so easy. So consistency is really critical to be a global leader.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Teiko-san.
So firstly, thank you very much for inviting me to this kind of panel. I would like to gain the insights from today's discussion as well. And among today's panelists, I think I am the only one without any educational or work experience in the United States. I hope to share insights on the changes within Japanese companies today. To answer the question, in today's world, world-class talent is not only about possessing professional skills and knowledge, but also about the ability to make flexible decisions by viewing things from multiple perspectives. To cultivate such talent within our organization, it is crucial to create an environment that respects diversity. So that is, people from different backgrounds can freely express their opinion, think from others' perspectives, and collaborate effectively. Every year, in addition to sending Japanese employees overseas, we bring a number of non-Japanese employees from overseas to Japan for short-term training. This initiative helps to promote the internal globalization of SMBC groups, Japanese employees, and organizations. In addition, it improves cross-cultural communication and encourages acceptance of diversity. We ensure that future leaders gain diverse experiences both domestically and internationally, particularly by placing them in challenging situations that require significant decision-making. For example, one pivotal experience for me was when I became part of an advisory team for a government-owned company in a Middle Eastern country where women's social advancement was very limited. In that country, women were prohibited from showing their faces to men outside their families. So I attended business meetings wearing a black garment that covered me from head to toe. Although they are accustomed to doing business with Westerners, but I initially felt uncertain about being accepted as a business counterpart by men in that country. However, I learned that what mattered to them in business was whether a person could provide value, regardless of gender or religion, and I experienced mutual recognition. This experience gave me confidence that, irrespective of my background, I could be recognized as a professional if I performed well, and that I could indeed deliver such work.
It's a wonderful anecdote. Thank you. Junko-san.
Well, anyway, it's a great to be here, and hello, and it's a privilege to be here. Currently, I work for Deloitte. This organization has 460,000 people globally, and I have a privilege to work, many people over the world. So, if the question is what global talent looks like, just to echo other panelists said, especially Teiko-san, but of course, you have to have some strengths in some area, your specialization. But when considered the kind of global, just the mindset for the collaboration globally, and also mindset for the also innovation and growth to drive the kind of to move the people, and especially this is AI world, and the technological advancement is significant, and I said. Of course, the talent should have some kind of technical or some kind of skill set, but that skill set is these days will be augmented by technology. So more human side is very important as a leader or global talent. So cultural adaptability and also kind of empathy to understand others. Those human aspect is critically important. So we do have a lot of just other firms that we have a lot of kind of development program, and so what we do is really provide the kind of opportunity for many countries people get together so that they can really interact and really do understand the differences. So geopolitical situations, just really make sure that we collaborate, and just really diversity creates huge impact. So we try to always create opportunity to many people work together or get together to exchange the ideas so that they can be truly global. That's what we are doing right now. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. But we all know that leadership, or the path to leadership, is not a straight line. It tends to be a very bumpy journey. And so I'd like to ask first Teiko-san, if you can share a personal example of a leadership challenge that you had encountered and how you overcame it.
Yeah, thank you, Kashi-san. So your question is about the challenges I faced in leadership after becoming a leader. But while there have been many, I would like to talk about the challenge of becoming a manager. So this was the biggest challenge and entry point into leadership for me. So when I joined the company, I wasn't interested in climbing the corporate ladder. Instead, I wanted to become a professional whose value was recognized in a broader market. When I reached the point where I could become a manager, I hesitated, preferring to remain a player. I was concerned that the time spent on personnel and revenue management would take me away from deals and diminish my market value as a professional. Additionally, many leaders around me were strong follow-me types, which was different from my style, and I doubted my ability to succeed in such a role. However, as my male peers became managers, I began to feel unease and frustration about lacking a position. I thought that if they could do it, maybe so could I. So I decided to challenge myself. Once I tried it, I found that being a manager was incredibly rewarding. I learned that the strength of a leader doesn't come solely from their appearance or a manner of speaking, but also from listening to others and working together with a team to solve their challenges, and that there isn't just one leadership style. By working with my team, I was able to complete more projects when I could have as a player, utilizing my experience. I realized that my value as a professional didn't decline. So leading a team taught me the importance of the decision making and taking responsibility, allowing me to grow. So recently in Japan, there are more young and mid-career employees, regardless of gender, who are reluctant to take on managerial roles. I want to tell them that it's important to try, and if they fail, they can always return to their previous roles. I hope they will challenge themselves and build a new leadership style while maintaining their own way of working.
Thank you. I think this is sort of a very common story that at least I hear. I'm sure everybody else has heard that, particularly in the case of women who are very capable, their peers are being promoted, male peers are being promoted, but your initial reluctance, to go that next step. But once you do that, of course, it's challenging, but you learn a lot. It opens new doors and new opportunities. So that's a really great story to spread. Junko-san, I think you have a challenge you also wanted to share. What's that?
We're having the feedback problem, so we're going to give them mics.
Me?
Yeah, and her too.
Oh.
I'm okay.
Well,
Me too, everyone?
my challenge, well, actually it was a culture shock. But when I became, I want to share my biggest challenge I faced on younger days. When I first time became the member of management committee in Deloitte, Japan, I realized my communication style did have is not well received. My style, kind of very candid, very straight. And if I think this is wrong, this is this, so this should be wrong, so you should think in a different way. Then realize, it's a very, sorry Deloitte, but a very conservative, male dominant kind of, people. So I realized they don't like it. they don't like to listen to. And so I realized, normally, this is really, well received by clients, but they just realized this audience doesn't like it. So what I did was that really analyze, what kind of person, what kind of style they like, and then really realize, maybe some extent my personality, but some extent it's female, maybe character, just really tell things based on kind of, justice or fairness or things. But anyway, I really try to really understand the context of, context, and also. And I realize sometimes men feel that the way I talk is too emotional or too kind of intuitive. And people seems like more logical and more reasoning. So just I decided to adjust. And also seeing that kind of challenge, it took a couple months, but also I realized who has most influence on what. And if I really want to things move, I realize maybe I should find out who is really the decision maker and who had. So decided to, before the meeting, I made some research and try to make more friends so that they listen to my opinion. Because if I want to really have acceptance of my opinion, I need people. So prep work and also just adjust my communication style. But actually, to know how people perceive the way I talk really helps, because if some people feel, maybe this is different, so maybe I should just adjust. Maybe even though I'm not too emotional, maybe he thinks I'm emotional. So just objectively analyze own style. That really helps me. That was the biggest challenge. But the first time it was a big shock. What's wrong with me? But anyway, that was the challenge. Yeah.
Just curious though, you work for Deloitte and globally.
Yeah.
do you switch your character when
Yes.
you're having global meetings?
Yes, I have 2 characters. Japan. Oh, sorry. Oh. but just I adjust. No, well, Japan is more modernized, but just depending on the maturity of modernization, just I have 2 sets of Junko. Just as global say, hey, Jillian there, but to Japan, yes, what can I do for you? That's Japan. So 2 characters. Yes.
That sounds very stressful to manage two personalities at work, but
The challenge is if the audience have 2 sets of the people, I don't know how to behave. That was a challenge. But I enjoyed. Yeah.
that's great. Next question is, how can organizations, I think many of us in this room work for organizations that may be fairly progressive in how they foster diversity within leadership. Others may be, a little bit slower. But I just wanted to ask a couple of the ladies here, what do your organizations do to foster diversity intentionally in their organizations? And Eriko-san, if I could start with you.
Yes. Of course, my own story too at Dow, and also at the same time, I worked as outside directors for Japanese companies. So I know that the diversity, there are lots of diversity needed, the way of thinking or the way of your educations and everything. But of course, the center of the topics these days at Japanese companies are more like a men and the women. So I may talk about it for what Dow did, so that you may be interested in some of our practices. At Dow, we have an ambition to be most innovative, most sustainable, and most customer-centric and most inclusive material science company. So those are ambition as defined. And many of your organizations may have those similar visions on being inclusive or being diversified. So what I think, there are 2 important things. So one is a culture. In the previous question, I just talked about some of the global strategy work. I learned a lot. So we are getting used to those environment a lot. So when we see that some of the working group is so as a monoculture, we feel strange, we feel even uncomfortable. So we really try to have a diversified and inclusive decision-making teams. So it's very important that many of the companies have those kind of culture, so that it became so natural that you really wanted to have those inclusive team, because we already believed and proved that those inclusive decision making is actually delivering the results and also adding the value to our customers. So that's a very important part first. And the second, I know that there are lots of practices you're doing too, and also probably if you analyze, you maybe wondered why our status is like today. Because we hired 50% men and 50% of women, but if you become the manager, it becomes 60 or 70-30, and if you become senior leader or board members, all of a sudden it becomes 90-10 or a 99-1 sometimes. So we wonder why it is. So think about the human beings, who you like. You usually pick the person who have the same kind of characters as you are sometimes, or who are similar to you. So at Dow, we actually totally changed our hiring processes. And not just for the newer hire, because almost 99% of our professional jobs becomes open and anybody can apply for that. So if we don't have diversified candidates, interviewers, we have to ask so many people to have the diversified candidates first. That's important. But the most important thing is as actually interviewees, who actually interview. Because if you are the similar monoculture interviewers, it's very easy. Probably you can just pinpoint the one person, probably, because usually those are very close to you. So if there are only an American, we try to have a Japanese, for example, or if there are all women, we try to have actually men. And then we really try to have the diverse board. And interviewers actually have 2-3 meetings. It actually takes time, but it's a very, very active discussions, how we think about those candidates. So think about the big company like Dow, 99% of the professionals open positions, and so many of us spend interviews. That's a lot of time and effort. Because we don't actually have a diverse panels, we have to get the CEO approval. So we really try hard, and I think our diversity index is really improving. So this is just one example that not many Japanese companies have. So that's why I just shared with you. But there are so many details, practices, and culture changes we installed. So just for your information.
That's great. Junko-san, I think you had a example to share
but
as well.
anyway, it's great learning, and I have to adapt. Thank you. But anyway, well, just like other companies, of course, Deloitte, we implement a lot of, for incorporate, goal setting, DEI, and a lot of education program, and just going so on. And also, we have good kind of pipelines, but to form the pipelines, we do have the issues that she shared. We have to really strengthen the pipelines. But actually, the decision makers, of course, decision makers has power, and we don't have a good representation of decision maker. Male. It's still male male dominant. So. That's why I try to work hard. But anyway, so from the most important thing is she said it's a cultural sense. It's very true. And also, most of the leaders, I live in Japan, for example, Japan leaders, they know that it's a limit and it have to increase the diversity. And their brain does understand. But the question is that only brain, it's from the bottom of the heart, really appreciate the value of the kind of diversity? That's still questions, I believe. If they strongly believe, when we ask that, do you think DI is important? I'm very sure all the leaders will say, yes, of course, it's goal setting, it's there. But if from the bottom of the heart, really emotionally, or it's a heart say that this is important, that's the kind of challenge. So I always have, of course, just a network of female leaders, next generation leaders, and I really, for example, there are the so-called 30% plan, but we have to really increase the female representation of the leadership up to at least 20 or 30, or just not 10, 20 or something, so that they can have a good influence. So we really try to contact the female so that they will not give up to climb the corporate or other. And unless they can be really influential in decision making, nothing happens. So just a cultural change, it's a really persistent effort, but they're working on. Yes, that's it.
Thank you. And I think you said something that perhaps struck many people in this room, at least it did for me, which is they understand it in their brain, it's not, haraochi shitenai. It doesn't really go to the heart or the gut. So do you have any of you, feel free to answer any of you, tips for how to get to the heart and to the gut of why diversity is important? Any?
Just,
I'm sorry, I didn't
have to really introduce success stories.
Success stories.
Yeah, so we try to, when we have a success, really educate, especially male leaders, senior leaders, that this is very success, this is really works. So that kind of effort is very necessary. So have to really find out the success. That's what we're doing. But I'm happy to learn from others.
Eriko, did you want to share something?
In the previous sessions, I just talked about those global teams we continue to have in the different teams. And we truly experienced that actually those diversity team actually enhance the results. Because while our strategy work was not going well, so we tried to add a little more diversity into adding the team members. And we actually really, every one of us really experienced that having the different opinions actually create the value. So I think our company already believes it. That's why I think we are already doing the practices I just talked. And I think Japan is now, but Japan is actually having the tailwind because everybody believes we have to do, but still kind of we have to do. I think we are not really believing it, but having the tailwind is the opportunities. So once you just get to some stage and just adding those success stories, as Junko-san said, and having the actual results, people are believing it. I know there are many academic papers who actually prove, but nobody believes those papers. So you yourself have to kind of experience. So there is no secret way other than that, I believe, Kathy.
Okay, thank you. Next question is on mentorship and sponsorship. First, I'm going to ask Teiko-san, what role does mentorship play in your leadership journey? And how can women in both US and Japan better support and mentor the next generation of leaders?
Thank you, Kashi-san. So I believe mentorship is very important to help women adjust to various roles or positions more quickly and more smoothly. Women can gain confidence and at the same time they are encouraged to step out of their comfort zone. In addition, mentors can help women to prepare for higher managerial positioning and they can show them how to expand their networks. In my case, up until the age of 30, I had mentors as part of on-the-job training whenever I started at a new workplace. I was fortunate that my mentors and department heads were interested in supporting my career development, as I was often the only woman in a professional role in my team at that time. In addition to learning about the work itself, I was given opportunity to participate in internal and external gatherings, external networking events, and to attend and speak at meetings where senior management was present. Through social gathering, I also learned about workplace relationships, office politics, and the challenges people faced. Although I haven't had a mentor since becoming a manager, those who guided me and worked with me until around the age of 30 continue to be supportive and have helped me build the necessary networks. To better support and mentor women, I think being exposed to and learning about diverse leadership styles can help future female leaders develop their own styles. So therefore, it is necessary to provide resources and opportunities for future female leaders to learn from other countries' female leaders. This can be achieved by observing their work by participating in meetings, conferences, or workshops. Furthermore, exchange or study abroad programs are useful so future leaders can gain insights in other companies' work styles and leadership styles. Personally, I learned a lot from speeches and books written by Western female leaders. And I also had many opportunities to work in Asian countries where I encountered many companies with women heading finance and sales departments. Through direct interactions, I learned from their communication style, demeanors, ways of engaging with subordinates, and the impression they left. So that was a very great support to me.
Wonderful, thank you. Miyoko-san, you have some?
So Tiffany had actually a really robust mentorship program for the last 20 years. So I think that Tiffany was one of the first companies to really focus on mentorship, especially for women. So I was fortunate enough to go through that program. And also we started at the Japan Society, the new program. Francis Green, who's here from New York, is also one of the mentor with us, introducing the mentorship program for not just for the specific companies, but across the Japanese management, middle class management. I think mentorship program and also sponsorship is so important for women, for them to be in the managerial position faster. I personally have taken a really advantage of my formal and informal mentorship programs. When I say informal, because even from like beginning of my career, when I look back, I always had somebody who was teaching me about specific part of the skill or responsibility that I wanted to improve upon. For example, I was born and raised in Japan and work at Tiffany as non-Japanese American, one of the Americans. So of course, English wasn't my first language, so I wasn't good at speaking in the public. And I had somebody who I really admire, great public speaking skills. So I went and asked her, could you please teach me how you do that? Like, what is your secret sauce? Like, how do you prepare? So I wanted to really steal from her, like, what does she do that it's so great? So she was my mentor only for the speaking. And when you ask somebody to be an informal mentor, you can't never go and say, like, could you be an informal mentor? Because they would say, like, oh my gosh, how much time do I have to spend with this person? And what am I going to speak about, right? So, but instead say specifically, I really admire your this skills or that capabilities. Could you please spend 15 minutes with me? I have never had anybody saying no to it. So I had a mentor for, of course, public speaking, managing responsibilities, balancing your life and work, raising your children. Like, there's so many mentors. You really learn from everyone. And there's always, well, everybody have something that they're good at. And if you find it and trying to, like, steal is not a right word, but learn from, I think you can really learn from everyone, and anybody could be a mentor. And also having mentee really help you to really think about how you are behaving and how you can be supportive for the growth of the organizations or the growth of your friend. So I really encourage everyone to find a mentor, but also be a mentee as well.
That's a wonderful story, and I really like the fact that you're just asking somebody for 15 minutes to help them on a very specific topic or question that you have, and I think that's a very low hurdle for the other person to accept. I think that's a really great tip for us all. I'm just curious that Tiffany, you said not only mentorship, but sponsorship. Do you want to talk a little bit more about the nature of that sponsorship program?
Sure. We also had a formal sponsorship program, but when you go and ask for somebody to be a mentor of a specific skills, they become your kind of sponsor, informal sponsor, because they feel responsible that they are teaching you a specific skills and they get to know you. So I also had a lot of informal sponsors as well. That's also critical because you wanted to understand what's happening in an organization, but also you want organization to know who you are and what you are good at or how you are trying to improve yourself. So sponsorship is great, and it's really linked to, I think, the mentorship program.
Great.
Can I,
Junko, please
yeah,
jump in.
To survive or successful in any organization, it's, it depends on how many people you know or how many people are your supporters. And, I know that these people may not like me or maybe difficult. In that case, what I did, I remember that just like she explained that you are really good in this area. Would you mind teaching me what's the success factor? Then he feels good to me. So this might be a good way to expand your, network and also reduce or decrease the number of people who do not like you. But anyway, it's a good, it just, actually I'm doing so too. There are some Deloitte people, so I'm kind of, but anyway, some different people, but I always ask, you're great, would you just teach me? That's a great, yeah.
That's a great tip too. Next question is for each of you. What do you think are the most important leadership qualities in today's rapidly changing business landscape? What do you see are the biggest future challenges for women leaders globally, and how should they be addressed? I know this is a huge question, but you can take pieces of the question. You have to answer all of it. But Eriko-san, may I start with you on this topic?
Actually, I don't have the right answer, but actually said that this is an interesting question. Probably we can think together, or probably at your workplace too, because the world is getting more complex and unpredictable. So probably we need two things, because of course we need 100 of things like understanding AI or whatever. But I believe that any one single excellent leader cannot do everything. So I think it's truly the capability of building a great team. Because we need to understand so many different things, new technology or new geography or new geopolitical things. So I think we really do have to have those great team building, and at the same time the capability of making the inclusive decision. And I just mentioned some of the career journey I went through. But getting our company is getting too big, and not everybody can have kind of global experiences and things like that. So we installed, at Dow, we have, for example, like 10 employee resource groups. And I'm sure many of you have the similar things, like a Women Innovation Network, Asian Leadership Network, and Disability Employee Network. For example, like if you are disabled or not, you can join a network. And by the way, Women Innovation Network, half of the members are actually men. So we actually really trying to have those global network, because each chapter, of course, has a Japanese chapter, Asian Pacific chapter, but in nature, that's a global chapter that our executives all sponsored. So everybody have an opportunity to learn about the organization and the different people, so that we are ready to have a capability to understand the complex world, especially in the future. And a second important thing, of course, probably you may be thinking, yeah, it's okay to have all kinds of diversified opinions, but at the end, you really have to make a tough call. Tough decisions. Because I know that there's no one decision that everybody can win, but we have to have the right decision. And I think that's truly the leadership quality I usually admire for some of the people I do admire, actually. So actually, like Junko-san said, I asked those people that why you have those courage and have the capability, and everybody actually said the same thing. We all started from the small, tough decision from early day. So the same theme. Probably some of the tough decisions we made at the age of 20, that may sound very small from this world, but for you, it's such a big decisions that you think about day and night. So you just have to experience making decisions. So especially when the Japanese company is truly great in organizational decisions. When I actually work as outside directors for Japanese companies, I actually said, especially for like a women employee, that they are usually very great in professionals, but have they given them the decision-making positions or decision-making environment or the positions, you really do have to get challenges. So I think tough decisions and inclusive teamwork, I think if I pick out of 100 things we need, I think I'll pick 2. I'm sure all of you pick others so that we can have a perfect leader in the future.
Yes, we're going to come up with a recipe, the magic formula. So Teiko-san, can you go next?
So, as she said, that it is very difficult to pinpoint the most important quality, but I think, so I'm going to say several things. So for leaders, it is essential to embrace diversity perspectives, have the quality to make informed judgment, and have the strength to make decisions and take full responsibility in uncertain times. Additionally, rather than merely reacting to changes, it is crucial to have the imagination and creativity to present a future vision, the transformative power of backcasting, and the skill to indicate what needs to be done now. And furthermore, leaders should be able to strike a balance between advancing transformation while strengthening existing businesses. In addition to changes in the business environment, it is increasingly desirable for companies to grow while meeting stakeholder expectations beyond financial results. So even if something seems difficult for stakeholders to accept, it is necessary for the sustainable growth of the company and society. Leaders must have the strength to act with conviction, explain, persuade, and gain stakeholders' understanding to move forward. The importance of leaders' empathy, communication skills, and the ability to convey message effectively is increasing. Of all the qualities I've mentioned, it is difficult to pinpoint the most important quality. However, in order to accomplish meaningful goals, I believe that the ability to bring together all these qualities is crucial. And as Eriko-san said, that I think first step is create a team from the diverse members and control and operate the team and also gain the respect from the members. That is also maybe the start point of the leader's quality.
Thank you. That's a very long list, and I don't know anybody who has all of those qualities, but it's a great start. Miyoko-san, do you want to add?
Sorry. Since you're spending time with us, and I have to make sure that everybody have a little bit of Tiffany when you leave this space. I want to ask a question. Has anybody ever purchased diamonds? Please raise your hand. Anybody ever purchased diamonds? Oh, good, like 1/3 of the room. So when you say quality, you must then know how to measure or how to evaluate the quality of the diamond. 4 C's, right? Yes? Yes, clarity, cut, carat, and color. Oh my gosh, this is an amazing team.
We have professional diamond buyers in this room.
Oh my gosh, the buyers. So I didn't have to teach them anything at all. But so from my perspective, the leadership qualities that I live by, and also I think it's also very important for this changing world, is number 1 C is curiosity. Because changing world, you have to be curious. You have to know what's happening inside and outside of the organization. Your antenna have to be always up. So curiosity is number 1. And number 2 is courage. You have to be courageous to make decisions that you've never done before, because you're going to be required to do a lot of new things. So you have to be courageous. So courage. And the third is confidence. Not that just you should have a confidence, but to have a confidence, you have to really work hard on it. So work hard and have a confidence. Then the last is connection. I'm linking to this theme, but really globally, and also like your network is so important, connecting to your employees emotionally, and also connecting to your peers, that's so important. So those are the 4 C's that I live by as a quality of the leader. And I think it's critically important for especially this changing world.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Remember those 4 C's from Tiffany's. Junko-san, do you have anything else to add?
Can I add?
What's left over?
It's all was said. So additionally, maybe I will emphasize 2 things. It's already covered, the teaming or courage and just all the important innovation mindset. And I'm, hey Julian, but I'm a TMT, so-called I'm technology, media, telecommunication. I live in that world. So I have to say that
next generation or any leaders from now on have to have a good understanding of AI or technology, and also that implication for humanity. Just so human side is more kind of is critically important, because AI or technology should be our tool. We have to live with it, but anyway, that we have to really have a strong mindset as a human being. So, and the other thing, just I really want to emphasize, of course, adaptability or teaming, but I would like one more thing I really want to emphasize is she said the confidence. That's very true, especially for female. Self-confidence. Because I really want to see more Japanese. I have a global position and I have a lot of global team or APAC team, but also I live in Japan, so I know what's going on in Japan. Things are getting better, but the female, I admire her. Just it's great. But anyway, just we need more Teiko-san, actually. But a lot of challenges, we have to, raise the kids, and just our infrastructure is not too great. But mostly my observation is self-confidence, meaning that, it's also, she said, the brave. It's very true. When there's opportunities, the man, maybe he will not have any experiences. He would say, offer the opportunity, he would say, I'll take it. But the female's case, I'm pretty sure 99% she can do it. But actually, this happened to me too. But maybe I will not be able to do it, so turn down. So we female, even myself, don't believe, maybe you don't believe, I don't know. But even I sometimes said no. Look back, younger days, not so many, but a couple years ago, even that I thought I could do, maybe now, I think I could do if I think now, but at that time I turned down. So self-confidence of the female is critically important. So we just, all of us have to really support all the Japanese female, not only Japanese female, but particularly Japanese female, so that they can have a self-confidence, so that they can be more brave. That's my additional message, because a lot of things are already shared. So, yeah.
I think that was a great list of qualities that, frankly, are not limited to Japanese women, but to women everywhere. I think this lack of self-confidence, sometimes courage, I think are, I don't know why, but it just seems to be a little bit different than from our male peers. So I think these are great lessons for all of us to share across both countries.
Yeah, but that's why we need a strong mentor or sponsorship, just push a little bit
Yes,
of,
to encourage us.
Yeah, that's pretty very important.
Absolutely. Okay, next we're going to move on to a question about balance, a word that I personally don't like, but it's in my list of questions. How do you balance professional responsibilities with personal life? What policies or practices do you believe are essential in supporting this balance for women in leadership? And Miyoko-san, I'm looking at you, so I'm going to start with you.
Thank you.
You can tell us a little bit about your personal situation, if you like.
I have a son who's 20 years old and married for 33 years. So, and I worked at Tiffany for 30 years in 10 different departments, but the last really positions were international global position. So I used to travel around the world on every other month, visit all the Tiffany markets and stores to implement strategies and set and so forth. So I was always on the go, and the balance was very difficult. But I look at, so when you think about your life, I'm planning to live until 120. I don't know how many years that you're planning to live.
You heard it here, 120-year life, no 100 anymore.
120 years old. So when you think about it, I wanted to balance my life out over the 120 years. So it's okay that you're not balancing it every single month or year or the day, because it's impossible. You're setting too high of the standard. I think that's what we do as women or as leader. We just set such a high standard on everything. So balancing doesn't mean that you have to balance every single day or month or year. So that's number one. And also another thing is lower your expectation. Don't try to be a perfect mother, wife, husband, or sister, or brother, or daughter, because you can't be. but trying to focus on what's important at that point. So for example, like, you come home from the business trip of 1 week after visiting 7 markets in 7 days, and you come home and your son is greeting you by the door, and so nice to see him, but the house is a mess, right? So there's 2 choices, whether one, you will complain and start cleaning, because I'm actually a control freak. I know it doesn't look like it, but I am. So either you start cleaning and trying to fix everything, or you just enjoy the moment. And dirt, a little bit of dirt wouldn't kill you. So enjoy the moment. And in Japanese, there's a word called ichigo ichie. Does anybody know the meaning, right? This moment is only happening once. This will never happen. So when you are spending time, really spend time and focus on what you're doing, either work or you're, with your wife, husband, son, daughter, really spend time. Because looking back, only thing you remember is how your parents made you feel, but you don't remember exactly how many minutes that your parents spent with you, right? So that's what I'm betting. Quality over quantities, and really focus on what you do, and don't set such too high bars.
And how are you going to live to 120?
That's
What's your
another
secret?
session. That's another
session. Okay.
If you invite me back, I will speak about
that'll
that.
be next year's topic.
In Hawaii, that would be
In
perfect.
Hawaii, best place to do that.
Yes.
Okay, look out for that one. Eriko-san, not Eriko-san. Yeah, Eriko-san, do you want to go with that?
Actually, when I heard about the questions, I asked Kathy, don't ask me, because I actually never thought I have a balance between the work and
None of us
professional
do.
work. But anyway, so that's why you can learn from some of my failures, and more than that, what I'm doing for the next generation leaders. I have been taking all kinds of global positions, and one time I was managing the second biggest business unit. So basically, I'm traveling around the world, and the passport is in my purse all the time. And during those busy days, I had son and a daughter who are almost 2 years apart. So when they're 2 and 0, and especially like a junior manager at the time, the life was totally the mess. It's not just the house; it's the whole thing was the mess. So because probably as you are, I mean, we all actually treat ourselves pretty. You said the high bar, but we actually set the high bar. And every morning I have ambitious list of things to do, but I never get things done. And rather than in the evening that I couldn't do it. I decided to say to myself, I did it. I completed this, and I'm really trying to be positive and trying to actually do the important things, especially the family first when the kids are small. And during that, I actually decided to quit the company, but the company actually really talked to me that why don't you change some of your responsibilities? And it may sound like a mom's truck, but it's actually not. We actually do have lots of the processes work which really needed for the future. So actually, when you actually change something, you always get some good reward and a good learning. So that's what I'm usually trying to say to my next generations. And Kathy's questions include some of the things that the companies can do, and I think the company already have lots of things in the company offered, like maternity leave or child care leave and father's leave and everything. So I wouldn't actually add more things to do, but I think it's more like how the organization support those people who need the help now. So there is one thing I am very proud of. More than anything than in my accomplishment was all the women employees during my tenure as a Japanese entity president, all the women who actually have babies came back, 100%. 100%. Actually, I have to be true. So except one who really has to move out of the country where we didn't have the office. I couldn't do anything for that. But and when they come back from maternity leave or the child leave, they excited and come to my room. And you know what they said? Thank you for letting me having those leave. Today's day one. I'm so excited. I'll do my best. And you know what I answered to them? Don't do your best. Because this is your day one, and you just have to get used to your new life. And it's not just you, your babies go to the new nursery school and the new everything, probably including your partners or your parents, whoever. So I said, don't do the high-paced running from the day one. Just slowly start, and because that's what my company did it for me during the time. Then, when the kids are away from home, probably I'm overworking. I'm kind of returning what I got to the next generations, the company. So you said that Miyoko-san will live 120. I don't think I will go that far. But think about your new life. Your lifespan. And when you get the support during the difficult times, you will give back to the company. You give back to the society. You give back to the family. So. But always, I feel that probably I didn't do enough to my family. So may I just share my personal story? I always think that actually I have a son and a daughter, and my daughter was always critical to me. You know, mothers and daughters in general. That's a world famous stories, because you couldn't do this, you couldn't do this, and. So I thought that my daughter will not get married or have children. So when my daughter get married, I was very happy, and she said that probably as a mother, you may be lacking this and that, but she actually loves to see that I'm really enjoy working for the company I love. And then she had the baby, and by the way, the second grandchildren will be coming this November, but she keeps working. So I think that my life was already rewarded. So I really truly talk about those non-perfect mother story. Probably, I'm very sure I'm not a perfect wife actually, but we have close family ties. So that's all I got for my life. So. Thank you for letting me share my personal story.
I think that's wonderful. I think we need more managers who will react to what your report said to you about, oh, I'm going to gambaru, from day one, right? And say, no, just take it one day at a time. I think we all need managers like that.
With smile and encouragement, and welcome back is the first, but you have to manage.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Okay. I want to move on to a question that deals with U.S.-Japan. How do leadership styles differ between the United States and Japan, and what can both countries learn from each other in terms of leadership practices? How do cultural expectations and societal norms in the U.S. and Japan impact the roles and opportunities available to women in leadership positions? Miyoko-san, you clearly have had experience on both sides of the Pacific, so let's start with you.
Sure, thank you. So I think overall, there's a lot of similarities and differences. It's just different degrees. So I know you mentioned about you have two you. I have one me. I just dial up or down the certain parts when I work with Japanese versus American. So I think there's a lot of similarities. Two very different things that I noticed that I think some of you might agree. One is Americans are so good at receiving and giving compliments. And Japanese are so bad. When you say, oh, you did something well, your presentation was great. I was like, no. No. Or I like how you are, presenting. It just always, no first. I always think that if somebody's complimenting you, somebody's actually paying attention to what you're doing and saying, I appreciate and I like what you're doing. So first, I encourage everyone, Japanese here, to say thank you. Then say whatever else that you want to say. But I think you should first acknowledge. Positive reinforcement is so, I think people in the US are generally better at. And that's something that when I moved to Tiffany, Japan, and when I start heading as a Japan president, something that I really worked on, really creating the inclusive environment, but really with positive reinforcement. And really making sure that everybody feel comfortable with highlighting the strength instead of worry about their weaknesses. So that's one. And also, second thing is the concept of managing your career is something that Americans are much better at than Japanese. And I think it's structurally too, like Japanese companies, you kind of have to wait for the Japanese organization to tell you where you're moving and which organization or department that you're going to. I actually at Tiffany for 30 years, and within 30 years, I moved to 10 different departments. And some are by my choice. And just a really kind of funny example is, so I started at Tiffany in business sales department. And after a year, my husband and I decided to get married. And my husband being American and I'm being Japanese, we decided to get married in Hawaii. Yay, Hawaii team. Yes, yay, Hawaii team. Yes. So we decided to get married in Hawaii, which is a middle, so everybody can come from the both end. So we did. And I loved Hawaii. And we were young, so we were like, oh my gosh, this is such a great place. We have to move here. And my husband quickly got a job at Kaiser Permanente. So he was like, okay, we can go now. That was a year after I started Tiffany. I loved Tiffany. And I wanted to keep working at Tiffany. So I studied it and realized that at Tiffany, Hawaii, they didn't have business sales department. So I put together a proposal of how I can add value to the organization if I were to move there and start the business sales division. And at that point, my boss in business sales was like, okay, if you want to go and talk to the international division. She was very sweet. I guess she didn't care about me losing me. But she said, you can go and talk to the international. That was run by international division at that point for some reason. So I went and pitched it, and he liked the idea. He was like, okay, you can move there. So he gave me a job. That's when I realized, you know what, two things that you can do, right? You just say, oh, that's too bad, but I want to move to Hawaii, and just move to Hawaii and find something else. Or try something, pitch your ideas. If they say no, that's too bad, but you tried. But they say sure, and they give me a job. So that's how I continue progressing within the Tiffany career. But I realized quickly then that I can really own my career and decide my destiny, which is not something that many people at Tiffany Japan at that point, even today maybe, feel. So that's something that I wanted to really introduce to the Japanese female leaders when I speak to. And you do have a lot more decision-making power than you think, even if it doesn't happen at first. That idea is in somebody's mind, so it might happen a year later or 2 years from now. So just don't be shy and speak up for what you want and what you think you deserve or what you think you want to do.
Excellent. I love that anecdote. Teiko-san, how about at SMBC?
Thank you. And I firstly start with touching upon Japanese history. Yeah. In Japan, traditional gender roles are deeply rooted, maybe everyone knows, with men working at companies and women maintaining the household. In my generation, many women entered the workforce after graduation, but many left their jobs when they got married or had children. So as a result, women have not been nurtured in companies, so leading to a limited pipeline of senior female leaders today in Japan. So looking at Japan's economic history, during the post-war industrialization era, leaders who could unite homogeneous groups were sought. So now it is the era of providing personalized experiences, requiring diverse ideas and contributors. So the risks companies face have also diversified. So this is why diversity at the leadership level is essential in Japan as well. So additionally, the population decline and the external pressures from global investors regarding corporate governance are also promoting diversity at the leadership level. And also the perception of gender roles in the family has also changed. And now the value is on supporting the family as a couple. I am confident that the promotion of women's advancement in Japan will continue. And as I haven't had any direct experience at leadership style in the US, I can't compare Japan and the US styles. But I believe there are some points we can learn from each other. For example, Japan has entered an era where individuality is valued, and women need to be conscious of protecting their rights. So, however, it is clear that the US is ahead of Japan in terms of respecting individual and protecting one's rights. On the other hand, Japan's business philosophy has been based on the concept of Sanpo-yoshi, it's a Japanese word, for over 300 years. So this means that it strives to create harmony with the seller, buyer, and the society, provide high-quality services and products that lead to greater customer loyalty. So this is relevant to the philosophy of multi-stakeholder capitalism. So statistics indicates that Japan leads global ranking by country with companies that have been in business for more than 100 years, making up more than 50% of the total. I believe that this tradition can be enhanced by having women in leadership position.
Great, thank you very much. Junko-san, do you want to touch on this? You work clearly for a U.S. company, but very global in nature.
Yeah, well, since our company is very global, it's very hard to say like US and Japan. But anyway, the story I shared might give impression that Deloitte Japan is very conservative. But anyway, that happened many years ago. And we do, so we are maybe operating more than 100 countries. And I said 460,000 people, so it's just all over. And the good thing is, of course, Japan people, and we have a vast opportunity to work with other countries. U.S. is the largest partners, and myself, I spend maybe 30-40% in the States, so I don't know. But anyway, and also in Europe too, some of the Middle East, we have vast opportunity to work with other countries' people. So if I join the discussion only Japan firm, that the slightly, of course, tone is more Japanese, but there are a lot of opportunities, not only myself, a lot of Japanese people join many collaborative kind of efforts. So my witness is that don't put any barrier, and you may encounter some difficulty in Japan, but our firm really, myself too, that there's a vast opportunity to access to other culture, other way of thinking, other way of innovation, and just if you try to get something, there's a lot of things. So what I can say is it's very global, and just beyond your culture, just to try to understand the other culture and work together will really create something very innovative and value. And also, that kind of attitude really gives a kind of joy to work with, because every day is just finding something new. So if you stay, or if I stay in the same domain, meaning like a small Japan world, maybe my life was different, but I really reach out to a lot of US people, a lot of EMEA people, a lot of Australians, just everywhere. I have an APAC too, but just India or even China or just everywhere. It's so interesting, geopolitically very complex, but just that you can learn a lot. And also, we are pretty much aligned on the goal. So, what I want to say is just don't create barrier and just try to learn something new from other background, and you can extend yourself and just have a good growth. So that's my experience in Deloitte.
Great, thank you. Eriko-san, your comments on
yes.
this?
U.S. and Japan, of course, U.S. is big, but my first workplace was in United States, and probably many of you may have the first workplace culture is kind of your working norm in the future. So I always compare to my first job in small cities in Midwest. And there are, because everybody can drive to the offices and a manufacturing plant or research center, there are so many working couple too. And when we set the meetings, usually you can go to the calendars of everybody, right? And I was very, very surprised that everybody had some kind of a family appointment things in the calendar. So because there are lots of working couple, so when your wife is away for the business trip, her husband has a calendar that can pick up the kids, pick up the football game, or go to the school meetings. So that was my first kind of working culture. So that's why when I actually said in the previous question that I had a difficulty with 2 and 0 and I wanted to quit the company really listened to my own needs and adjust my work because they know that I love the company and so that I may work longer and contribute to the company. So that culture was my starting point. So when I was actually transferred back to the Dow's Japanese entity, that was a little bit different, even though we were the global company. So I really tried to change it. Because I think if you are okay sharing some of your private information, it's okay to share that, especially your one-on-one meeting with the manager, so that you can actually manage your life better. So I think those approach, it was very easy to do in the United States. Sometimes it was very at that time, especially like 10, 20 years ago, it was very difficult to do in Japan. But now our company, our Japanese entity, it's much like the workplace I had in the United States. So I think we can change that. Everybody has some difficulty. We can adjust it. And even my manager, majority of my manager has been American at the time, but one of the manager said that he had some difficulty in his son's situations. So he may have he may have to go to school or back home without telling us. So please do this backup work and attend the meetings, so sharing the meeting, sharing the calendar together. And I even have his home phone number or a wife's mobile because we may have to adjust our situation. So I learned how to be open and so that we can actually work better together. So, so many of you said that there are not many different, but like Miyoko-san says, probably the attitude, the way of saying, but many of you said a slightly different way of the attitude. But if you're open, that's much easier. So I think that's what I learned from my workplace.
Okay, great. So we're going to finish with a couple of lightning round questions, but we may have time for 1 or 2 questions possibly after that. So if you have any questions, please get them ready. The first question is, there are a lot of up-and-coming, aspiring young female leaders in the audience today. What is your number 1 tip or advice that you'd like to give to these young women, and probably young men as well? But Junko-san, do you want to start?
A couple of times I referred resilience and just don't give up. And if you face challenges, just look back and just that kind of challenge might be a good opportunity for growth. Just don't give up. That's my resilience. It's my recommendation.
Great. Teiko-san? 日本語でも大丈夫 or 英語
So, my number one tip is embrace and leverage your unique strengths. So be authentic and bring your distinct perspectives and skills to the table. So your diversity is an asset that can drive innovation, increase resilience, and foster inclusive environment in the company and the society.
Wonderful. Miyoko-san?
Mine is the don't limit yourself. You can do a lot more than you think, and do what you're afraid to do, and aim high, and also trust your gut and use your intuition.
Okay. Eriko?
I try to say something different. Don't hesitate to ask the support. When you need a support, you can ask for, because you can also support others. Because you have the special talents and skills, you can always support others. So, support each other.
Great. Last question. What are the most valuable leadership lessons you've learned throughout your career? I think you have learned a lot, so maybe just one lesson if you'd like to share. Anybody want to start? Me? Miyoko-san? Dozo?
Being authentic and being yourself is really important, because when I started Tiffany, I was only Japanese female amongst all the Caucasian male counterparts, and many female as well. But I never tried to fit in, but I try to find what's unique about myself and what is my brand code, and trying to improve that. So differentiating myself was always how I went far. So be yourself and be authentic.
Great. Junko-san?
Don't fight alone, and just make friends. And even I referred, but even if you have enemy, make them a friend at least. Just don't create any enemies. So always, I think, don't fight alone. Make friends. That's my message.
Teiko-san?
The importance of empathy and effective communication. So being able to clearly articulate your vision and expectation helps align the team towards a common goal. And also, it is important to deliver your message effectively. And that's my...
Okay. Eriko-san?
Yes. Talk to each other. Speak yourself, express yourself, and listen to others. Especially during the career, when I was when I entered the company, there was a fear that I visit a big, huge company by myself or with a technical person. But my manager said, there is no company, there are people there. So talk to those people. So, and these are big organizations. You have to, or the government, or whatever department, and that looks huge, Japanese traditional company. But there are people running it. So talk to the people. So that's what I learned, and I'm saying the same things to my next generation leaders too.
Excellent advice. Okay, we have maybe time for one or two questions. Does anybody have any questions? I think we have mics around. If you want to raise your hand, anybody? There's one way in the back there. Dozo. Right there.
Thank you so much to the panelists. My name is Aika Meitalvera, and I'm a Tomodachi alumni. So it was just mentioned how authenticity is really important, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. In terms of that, how do you continue to be authentic, especially in times of where, as a leader, you have made a mistake that I guess challenges you? How do you take ownership for the mistakes that you've made as a leader? Thank you.
Any volunteers for this question? Eriko, you want to start? Yep.
I think that's a great question. I think everybody made a mistake. And especially when you're trying to make you look bigger than you are, you always have a stage frightening. So like even today, I may not be the most excellent leader, but if I speak with my words and with my experiences, with my learning, I think that's the only way we can be authentic. So, and if you, being the entity president, many times I was asked, like a town hall, I got all kinds of questions. And if I pretend I know the answer, employee knows. So I try to get my technology leader or a manufacturing leader or finance leader to talk about it. And of course, I know all the general things, but if you have an excellent team, you shouldn't be hesitating to use your team. And if you try not to be too big than you, I think your authenticity will be gone. So just be yourself, be honest is almost important things in my career too, and also with my family too. So I learned it when I was young, trying to look smarter while trying to be a perfect mother. So,
Anybody else have any? Junko-san? I'm good. No, I echo what she said, but anyway, honesty is the key because when I myself sometimes make mistakes, but all the people really watching and just unless I lose honesty and they will not trust me because anyway, my team trust is everything, even clients, just everything. Trust is really foundation of everything, and just honestly. Just to deal with the reality is the key. If you just disguise something, that will not work. And I just want to emphasize honesty. That's the base guiding principle. Great. Any other questions? Hi, どうぞ. You just give your name and.
日本語ですみません。失礼します。私今年、まず貴重なお話ありがとうございました。で、私今年の4月に社会人になって今半年ぐらい経つんですけど、この私ぐらいの時に何されていたのか、なんか今振り返って、これやっとけばよかったなとか、もし経験からあったら教えていただきたいです。よろしくお願いします。
What is your first name?
ゆずき木村。
Izuki-san. Hi. So Izuki-san just started working this past April, and she's asking the panelists, if you were her, what advice would you have to give to her? And what would you have done differently at that age? Very deep question. Who wants to start? Miyoko-san, it looks like you're ready to respond.
I think we spoke about it many times already, but I think try to do everything that you're afraid to do, like and fail and learn from mistakes. I think it's important that you don't stay in your comfort zone and there's never a perfect moment to do something new or say something. And thank you for speaking up today. But so don't procrastinate and do it when something comes to your mind.
じゃあなるべく早い段階からチャレンジをすることですね。他にどうぞ。 どうぞ日本語で。
よろしいですか？まずしっかりと目の前のことをやるということが大事だと思うんですけれども、その他にやっぱり一つ上の目線を持って目の前のことをやるにしても一つ上の目線を持ってトライして、かつ自分の中長期のビジョンを遠くに描きながら目の前のことを一生懸命やるっていうことが大事かなと、その積み重ねかなと思います。私はさっきも言いましたけど、時々目の前のことじゃなく遠くのことばっかり見てたことがありましたので、目の前のことをしっかりやりながら遠くを見るっていうことかなと思います。
So Teiko-san was saying, focus on what you're supposed to do now from day to day, but also keep an eye to the future and think strategically about where you want to go with your career. She said she often maybe thought a little bit too much about the forward as opposed to what was right in front of her, but doing both was important. Okay? Hokani? All right, we are perfectly on time. So please join me in thanking our wonderful panelists. Eriko-san, Miyoko-san, Teiko-san, Junko-san, ありがとうございました. Thank you, everybody.